So with the emergence of these social media companies as the main vehicle for disseminating free thought, to break them up on these grounds could actually have a chilling effect on speech that some of the former leaders or even current leaders of Facebook don't like. Joining me now for this very big topic, Molly Hemingway, senior editor at The Federalist, a Fox News contributor, and Raheem Kassam, who's the global editor-in-chief of the brand relaunched Human Events. Raheem, it's great to see you both. Why does the left always want to silence the views of those who disagree with their worldview?
Well, I think these guys in particular are a different kind of left. They're a liberal left. They're a left that hasn't necessarily gone through academic rigors as some of our good counterparts on the left have. So they actually don't have arguments behind what they believe in. And when you are operating in a vacuum of arguments, the best way to defeat your opponent is to silence them rather than take them on. And I think that's what's happening in Silicon Valley at the moment. I think this is a very important op-ed, a very long one, by the way.
6,000 words.
6,000 words.
God.
Even for somebody like me who reads copy all day, every day, that was a bit too long. But it's important because he is a leftist. And it's important because he is somebody who was there at the founding. It's all well and good me going on television and going, oh, Facebook bans me.
Oh, he's pals with Zuckerberg. Hasn't seen him in a couple of years,
Exactly.
but is at this house, kissed his kid. I mean, they're friends, but I don't know how friendly.
We should just take it very, very seriously, I think.
Yeah, not so. And Dustin Moskovitz, the other co-founder of Facebook, tweeted out, I guess in response to seeing Chris's op-ed, said this: if the goal is to improve democracy, we should break up Fox and Sinclair first. He deleted that real quick, but yeah, of course.
I can imagine he did.
Deleting tweets doesn't really work.
But it gets at this underlying issue, which is that online, which is the primary means by which we discuss politics and have political engagement, there are these efforts to shut down conservative speech, and they are serious issues that need to be dealt with. Doesn't mean that using government power is the way to do it, but even the way that they're talking about it as if the opposite were true, as if online space is such a friendly place for any right-of-center perspective, is completely at odds with what we have seen from a lot of these tech giants that deplatform conservatives, that limit what people can say, and that's a big problem. That, I mean, we are going to see some people pushing for regulation, and I think there need to be some smart answers.
It's a very tricky thing because there's an impulse in me, in part, that these things are so big and so a billion people on the platforms. WhatsApp, I know Molly, you're on WhatsApp all day. Snapchat, and of course Facebook, all combined. They bought both companies a couple years back. That's a huge, huge imprint. On the other hand, for the government to step in and say, we're going to cut this, it's not clear that that's going to bring about more free speech. I don't understand how that necessarily will bring about more free speech because, and I want to play something. This is not from a conservative, by the way. This is CNBC professor spoke out, I think, yesterday when this whole controversy emerged from this op-ed. Let's watch.
Breaking up Facebook by itself isn't really going to solve some of the core issues that Facebook has faced criticism for. The fact that social media platforms have led to political polarization, the fact that users have very limited, if not any, privacy rights. None of these things are going to be addressed by the breaking up of Facebook. It's sort of rooted in 20th century economics.
Yeah, trust busting. So break up. His point is, it's led to the polarization. No, polarization, Molly, you've written about this, has been created because globalization ran over the middle class in Europe, in France, in Britain, in Italy, in Sweden even, with the mass migration of Muslims. So globalization, open borders, has hurt a lot of people. It has nothing to do with Facebook.
Well, I don't know entirely, though. I mean, I think that there are issues with Facebook, and there are problems, that there is, I'm not a fan of laws about monopolies, but we do have these laws, and there are a lot of privileges that have been accorded to some of these tech giants on the premise that they are these open platform areas where anybody can speak, but they're not actually behaving that way. And I think that that is something that can be looked into. Should they receive these privileges of sort of government help when they are, and they are in some cases a monopolistic type enterprise? Now, I don't have a huge problem with that, but there are laws governing these things, and I think that they need to behave in such a way as to not take advantage of the government privilege.
Conservatives are always like, oh, we can't do antitrust, that's a liberal thing. Not sure. Margaret Thatcher loved small business.
Yeah.
She was very distrustful of these large multinational corporations, and this is among the biggest of the big. Molly's right; they can squash you. Poor old David Horowitz keeps getting banned from various platforms, and he's like, "What did I do lately?" So it always happens to go the conservative way.
Yeah, I actually disagree with a lot of the conservative voices out there that are pushing back against the idea of regulation somehow. Number one, regulation doesn't have to be an active government thing. They can just stop undergirding what keeps some of these companies up, like the Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act. Get rid of that, and then you'll see more competition. I actually agree with Chris Hughes in his article as well. If you do break up Facebook, I think it allows for competitors to move into the space a little bit easier. Only a little bit easier, but it's still a little bit easier. And I think the other thing we need to recognize when it comes to the platform access issue is that we are now talking about this in civil rights terms, because the public square is actually no different from the digital public square. And anybody who thinks that is going to go apart rather than more together, they're living in cloud cuckoo land.
Oh, by the way, I added to their empire incorrectly. Facebook does not own Snapchat; they own Instagram. Massive, massive panel. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we're gonna see some movement on this. It'll be coming up in the campaign. Elizabeth Warren, Dick Blumenthal, all speaking about this issue.